Hi, I'm Bob Palisek. Congratulations on the purchase of your Cyclone Pro. I'm here to show you how it works and how to set it up. And set up, the first thing you want to do, remove the spool arm from the cover, place it on either the right or left side. For a conventional reel, right hand side, it goes to your left. Press it in there, don't be afraid to force it, it's made to be tight. Spool, the reel itself will be lined up on the reel bar, handles facing forward, lined up with the center of the chuck assembly. The whole reel bar will slide forward. Do not put pressure on the back of the chuck assembly. You just need to have that inside in those holes so that it grabs the handles. And then tighten either knob and it'll sit right where you need it to. The trigger assembly will plug in here. It goes only one way. Pay attention to the pins to hook it up. Power is from a transformer or a 12-volt adapter for your car or boat. When you're starting with a new spool, depending on where a label is, make sure that there's no paper in the hole of the label. You'll get a much more even wind. The spool will spin more freely. Take care with the line. Make sure to, on a conventional reel, to make sure that the line is coming off the top of the spool to go onto the top of the reel spool. You want it to go on and off in the same direction. You can line it up with the center of the reel. The tension cones will go and put that fairly tight. That creates a tension on your line so you have a nice even wind. Spooling the line starts slow. Make sure you have it on there, it's not slipping. And then speed up as you see things are working right. Many of you fish with spinning equipment. Spinning reel spool, your reel does not have to come off the rod. You can just remove the spool. It fits in the chuck assembly. Tighten down. Not too tight. You want no damage to the reel. The important thing here is to make sure you have the line come off the bottom of the reel, off the bottom of the service spool, onto the bottom of the reel. You wind in the counterclockwise direction. That will be forward with your finger pushing the right hand side trigger. I usually give it a couple winds to make sure it's started. Again, nice and slow start. What you will want to do is use your fingers to guide the line on nice and even, back and forth, so that you get a nice even line. I have one other product I want to show you that we have here at Triangle. So you don't have to hold the line. You can still guide it very well. Slips right over the line. You're doing a large spool, your fingers will heat up a little bit. And you can hold it with no problem for any size spool. With the spinning wheel, you want to finish with your line just inside the curved edge so that you do not impede your casting with too much friction on that cast. Alright, now I'm going to show you our rod bracket. It holds the rod with the reel in place to help you spool your reels without having to take them off the rod. Especially beneficial for all of us that have 8, 10, 12 rods. This was developed by the engineers at Triangle with help from our elite bass pros. Real simple gadget. 2 pieces of Velcro slip in these slots with the Velcro facing forward. You can drop that down. And it will slip on just like a reel would go onto the reel bar. In most cases, depending on the reel you use, it can go on either side facing away from the machine or towards it for a smaller reel. The Velcro gets wrapped around the bottom of the bracket and over the top of the rod. Pull it tight and you're all set. Once again, make sure not to put pressure on the back of the chuck assembly. The center of the handle should be lined up with the center of the chuck assembly. In this case, I'm using a left-hand retrieve reel, so you want to switch the service spool arm to the opposite side. Don't be afraid to force it in there, it's going to be tight. The spool goes on. The line comes off the spool in the same direction it goes onto the reel, in this case from top to top. Start slow. And we're done. Okay, now we're going to show how to strip line from the reel with the reel off of the rod. First is stripper spool to the side. It gets mounted in between the chuck, which is adjusted with the Allen key. It gets mounted in, not too tight, it won't go anywhere. There's a small hole in the outside edge. Pull 4 or 5 inches of line out. Give it a couple spins to get it started. Make sure your reel is on free spool and start slowly. You do not want to wind your line too tight on here. You want to come off easy, so nice and easy. Be sure to use your thumb to keep your reel from free spooling, and pay attention to the end so that it does not yank the reel out of your hand. Very good. When you're done, the spool slips right off. The line will come off nice and easy off the spool. You have a nice compact spool of line to dispose of. Now, stripping a spinning reel spool is just as easy as a conventional reel. You want to keep your fingers on the line to keep it from flying off the reel too quickly. Otherwise, pay attention, not too tight. Be sure to slow down when you get to the end of the spool so that the spool is not yanked out of your hand and you're all set. Once again, the stripper spool goes into the chuck assembly. It's tightened down. The line gets slipped through the hole on the edge of the stripper spool. A couple quick winds around so it will stay there. Grasp your rod with the spool on free spool, and nice and gentle to start. Make sure you don't put too much tension on the line. You want it to come off the stripper spool freely. Be sure to pay attention to how much line is on your reel so that you don't get a big jerk at the end. Loosen the chuck assembly. The line slips right off.